Nobody in a suit wants you to hear me. No one who likes to be voted for wants me to have your attention. You can call me Oilano, and I have more secrets for you. So far, I've told you of the hidden meanings. I gave you a brief history of the constellations Leo, Cassiopeia, Scorpio, and Gemini. Today is Cygnus. So I went and learned some amazing things simply by meeting them where we're the same as equals and asking the right way. I had talks with them. Let me teach you how to do this. But you gotta stop asking a government that does not give a shit about what you want for disclosure. They never wanted you peasants to have all the information I've been just handing over to you guys for free. Apparently the time has come, so too bad. The things that happen out there among those stellar families are all spiritually significant victories that this planet is almost ready for. Like, we're next in line. And yeah, and those that would rather you just toil for them until your grandkids are ready to take your place, they're hoping you're just doom scrolling right now. What if people like little Donnie want everyone in therapy? Did you ever think about that? There's all these commercials and everything. They love it when people do the job for them. They love it when people look up to the night sky and just completely disenchant. They disempower themselves by repeating the bullshit story from third grade teachers that it's all just self-ignited gas. Self-ignited hydrogen is allegedly the main occupant of this level of the universe. Okay, yeah. No, you are the main occupant of this universe. Okay, I've been around enough to inform you that those giving you stories about the universe from the comfort of their planetariums are full of shit. They told you, I know it's enjoyable, it was fun, but we gotta grow out of this. All right? They told you the story of the stars the same way Superman is told, with 1,000 different people in agreement of what the main character is. Superman can be your proof that 1,000 people can make a living telling the same fiction. Both stories do belong in the same category, seeing how they each help me understand the universe equally. 0. One's a complete myth, the other makes a great comic book. Now, when you're done here, look at the stars tonight. When we're all done, this time you're not going to give yourself that bullshit story again. Instead, I'm giving you a new option. One that will empower you and maybe even make you curious enough to try and visit them on your own. It's very easy. You don't need rocket fuel, all right? Or you don't need. It's not rocket science. It's up here. Their story doesn't leave room for that, does it? Their story. It's going to sound like I'm attacking them, but you got to take away before I can fill you up. Their story stops your curiosity dead in your tracks. Their story doesn't inspire you to look beyond their disappointing explanation of gases and supernova required to make heavier elements. No. Every part of their story is impossible to prove or disprove in a lab anywhere on Earth. So as the witless, trusting, impressionable child, at a very young age, you were ripped from your magic, your true identity, by being told a terrible story from people that just had to have some kind of answer for you, no matter how harmful. They just couldn't look like they didn't know. Or we don't know yet. Apparently, that's not acceptable. So they had to give you an answer that was more crowd control than it was science. Let me fix this now. Every star should have planets, even if they're not all physical. No star shines for no one. Okay? Every star is there, anchoring something, providing its light for something that inhabits the reach of its energetic gravitational presence. Stars are functional. Our sun does a lot more for us than they tell you. You know, I should probably do an entire video on photosynthesis, because they're not giving you the whole story at all in school. You know, they're giving you like a quarter of the story. It's big. But I did an entire video already on our sun. Please check that out. Because I met Saul. You know, I didn't look at him and be like, oh, it must be this. No, I talked to him. Every ancient culture had a sun god. Okay? This was them trying to teach each other that there is a being in there, and he's pretty awesome. You know, they all had sages or witch doctors or shamans. You know, you name it. You know, Mayans, the Greeks, the Norse. Y'all had sages or witch doctors or shamans that reached out, most likely in a deep meditation, and spiritually, mentally, psychically contacted the sun as a soul, not as a this, but as a soul, a being just like me or you. You know, we are not bodies. We can meet each other outside ourselves, and when we do, you know, it's always beyond special. Oh, here we go. Weak math, bullshit science, selective history, communication without heart. You know, they call it English, the worst language to be so proud of. You know, these are the things we're teaching our kids, that this is humanity. And then we guffaw when they struggle after graduating. You know, after 12 years of wasting every kid's time, you know, they need another 15 years in real life to learn how anything works. By this time, everyone feels too old to fight for change, and they have kids to take to soccer anyway by then. Now, this is the cycle that keeps generations of humans complacent, one after the next. When you look out to the stars, you think it's just burning gas. You know, each of these glowing objects is supporting life. Okay? It takes a lot more than what some stupid burning hydrogen can provide to support thousands of different forms of life, which, newsflash, this is what our sun is doing, supporting life, not giving you these terminal diseases. And you look out there at the other stars too. Their purpose is they're supporting life in some way. You know, this is why some of them might be different colors or whatever, different sizes. It's the life they're supporting needs different things from their sun, all right? Pollution causes skin cancer. But guess what? That can lead to lawsuits. So better to tell everyone, you know, just blame the sun, you know, because no one's going to sue the sun. You know, they try to scare us back in the day about the ozone layer, as if the third graders of the nation had control over it in some strange way, you know. Isn't it strange how they appealed to 8-year-olds of the nation so hard back in the day about pollution? Like, they're asking us to stop the oil spills. Get out of here. Pollution eats ozone, and that leads us to getting skin cancer. The pollution itself is no harm for humans. You know, they're trying to take your attention away from the industrial waste and everything that was happening back in the 70s and 80s. And try and make you shake your fist at the sun like a moron. No, I have better data for you, okay? This time, I'm using my story of how I learned about Cygnus, the Swan constellation, to offer you new meaning to this universe. And anyone who loves, you know, thinking, okay, thought, water. is going to appreciate this information a lot. So, real quick, let me get something out of the way, because you might be wondering how or why I have information like this, and you might not like the answer I have for you. Because while everyone else was partying with Jersey Shore and y'all were keeping up with the Kardashians, yeah, I was putting myself through spiritual school. I'm sure you got a lot out of what you did, but I can talk to constellations and stuff now because I didn't stand in the same lines you did. Right? I didn't trample anyone on Black Friday or anything like that. Right? Never stood in line for a phone or a PlayStation. I did this, right? So I can have these stories for you today. So Cygnus. My day job is pretty boring to talk about, but as I spent more and more of my nights in psychic development classes, my confidence was growing, and I felt like I could read anyone, anywhere, even at my noisy, very noisy, demanding job. So my work buddy comes up one day. He knows I'm kind of a spiritual guy, but doesn't know I'm looking for people to read. He asked me where he can get a tarot reading, and I told him to just look up when the next psychic fair is coming up, because here in Western New York, there was one like every few weeks because people do show up. Hundreds, thousands of people show up in over a weekend. So he walks away, and I go to Spirit. I go, what's something I could tell this guy today that tarot cards couldn't? Because I felt a little competitive, all right? My mind's eye suddenly can't stop giving me images of swans. I never think about swans. I'm seeing now swans on water, swans landing on water, taking off. So I asked, okay, what's with the birds? Swans are cool, but what's it got to do with my coworker? How could this be anything with him? So, mind you, I'm doing things at work while having this conversation with Spirit in my head that I couldn't make up if I wanted to. You can do this too. Every human can do this. So this is when my inner eye, my cat's playing with a toy. This is when my inner eye shows me one more swan. This one's in mid-flight, and without warning, it turns into a bunch of stars on me. They spread out and place themselves into the dark of outer space. I got the hint right away. Okay, obviously, Spirit's telling me that there is a swan constellation, and his soul must be from there. If you ever get into, oh no, another name isn't coming to me now. I didn't type it in here. Anyway, before this, I had no idea there's a constellation that is a swan. And all of a sudden I do know. Again, you are not a body. Your soul is older than this universe. You most likely had lives from elsewhere. The lady's name escapes me, who did a lot of studies on this. She put a bunch of people under hypnosis, like a regression, and a lot of people were coming out with past lives as aliens. So here I am contacting. So anyway, you've most likely had lives from elsewhere. You've brought something from there here. If you could find what that is, you might become wealthy very fast, just so you know. Okay, if you're human, there's a great chance you have this. You agreed to the human hardships, okay, which meant you also agreed to the rewards, which are coming as soon as we grow up a little bit. This lifetime is going to happen. When you look out to the stars, you are not seeing the energy work, being accomplished. You don't see the energy that from spiritual victories coming your way to influence our own victories here. This is the zodiac. The suits do not want you dipping into this flow, these currents of victory. They want victory over you. We're all working here, whether you like it or not. You're here to work, and you're doing it right now. Whether you're having a great time or a crappy time, you're here performing energy work, disguised as play, disguised as typical human life. You are not a body. Again, I'll say it. You are the ghost haunting it, animating it, making decisions for it. We are thought. All of us. This includes the planets, which are alive, and any aliens you might ever meet. We're all just thought at play. There are a bunch of Greek myths regarding Cygnus. My focus is on the one that actually includes a character named Cygnus. This is one of those constellations known by many ancient cultures. They all have different names for it. They're wise men or witch doctors or shamans, whatever. They knew. They could feel it. They knew that Cygnus was a special and important area of the night sky. It's not zodiac, but it's special in its own way. Reading my coworker opened a path for me to learn why, and I'm going to tell you right now. We have a few sayings here on Earth, or, well, in English at least. When we get married, we say something like, we're taking the plunge. When we take on a job, we say, let's dive in and get to work. We talk like this because we know we're underwater. For souls, taking on a human experience is dropping yourself into a heavier element, just like us diving into water. When we sleep, our souls, we go back into the air. Or what's, air to a soul. We are working here through these physical bodies. These are our emotional avatars. We're working through them from a higher, a lighter dimension. In every myth I've found, water is symbolic of thought or imagination, consciousness, okay? The Greek myth of Cygnus says that after his friend, he had a bad chariot accident, passed, drowning in a river. So Cygnus dove again and again into this river to retrieve his friend's remains, which were his bones. That was kind of morbid. But you gotta try and interpret these myths. They weren't created, all of them. I mean, some are purposefully, skewed, but this one I've interpreted this way. Bones symbolize the inner part of you that does not change. So it's your structure, okay? Right? Agreed? So the myth is trying to teach you what to value in a friend. The inner parts that don't change. And this is what Cygnus knows about us from over there. They're looking at us from over there. So here it comes, okay? Sad truth is coming. This myth is trying to imply that we had an accident here. Okay? In this story, humanity is the friend that had the accident, and Cygnus is helping us now. And I should give you a minute to process that because it's true. All my messages hint towards this truth, this missing part of our egoic, selective history that we felt. We had a tragic tumble way back before our forgotten history. We fell, and we're just now getting back up. So Cygnus is diving again and again to help retrieve his friend, which is us. Okay, now this is hinting at living the multiple lives here to do one big job. And we're going to stop forgetting our past lives soon because the reason for forgetting them has passed. So little by little, you might be remembering. You gotta think. Not all your thoughts are random or pointless. Okay. You are a thought that added itself to an established, hardly functioning thought, and you did it for a great reason, to fix it and to reap the rewards after, which may even include ownership. Okay, now let that sink in. Why else would you agree to live a hard life such as one on Earth? Here we are assaulted with illusions and so many opportunities to do it all wrong. So we do. We hurt ourselves constantly on this planet. We need help. Someone with like a rope, a tether to the above, so we don't, as souls, we don't go too deep and get lost forever. This is Cygnus. He's holding a rope for us. Well, trying to, lift us back up. We're going to win. We're going to get back up. But, Cygnus is watching us and has placed undercover agents here to help make sure we do. And Cygnus has been referred to as the White Cross. These days you can't call something that because everyone's looking for racism. It's hinting towards the White Cross that lifeguards use almost universally on this planet. Historians always wonder how different cultures can use the same symbols without ever meeting each other. Because every culture back then listened to their shamans, not just any nerd with a British accent like we do. Right? Cygnus is a cosmic lifeguard. It takes multiple lifetimes, but souls from Cygnus are here with a mission to raise this planet's vibration, thereby raising the best parts of humanity above the surface, which means to the next level. I didn't get this through to my coworker very well when I tried to. How do you convince someone they're here to raise the planet's vibe when they're not feeling that way? What with being human and all, it's tough. But that's the point. He did it there, so the universe is asking him to do it again. This time as a human here, and he's undercover anyway, so he'll realize it on his own schedule. Many of us are here to finally figure this out and raise the planet's vibe, forcing everyone else into wisdom. Everyone just has different paths, different reasons for doing it. Cygnus's reason is that it is humanity's friend and ally, and lifeguarding is Cygnus's specialty. They're probably helping other star systems, all over the galaxy too. Different ones, not just us. Helping us means they'll get their own reward over there when we're done being such children here and we grow up to the next level. And for your information, we can make this happen any day we want to now. So, is that good? Did you learn anything new? Anything useful? I'm trying to make shorter videos, but there's so much, to tell you guys. But yeah, I went past the problem, past the suits that don't want to share this with you. And every time I do, I go out there, I find something beautiful about us that they don't want you to have. Keep listening to me and my messages, and you'll understand what we're doing here. Okay. I guess this is where I ask you to subscribe and click the like. Also share me, please. My next video is going to be my last constellation, because you could maybe save the best for last. Aries. I'll tell you the truth about Aries. And it's a good story. You'll like it. But that's next time. Thank you for